What is going on, guys? If you are new to the channel, welcome. Today what we're going to be doing is tearing down the old motor that was in my R32. If you haven't seen the videos where we swapped this motor out and put a brand new rebuilt one in, definitely go check that out on a playlist in the corner you guys can check out. But essentially this motor needs to be rebuilt. The rings in cylinder 4 are bad. It was getting a ton of blow by, fouled every single spark plug. It was just a mess. So we got a new motor in, and now we're going to get this motor rebuilt. We're going to get all the machining stuff done, and then we're going to put it back together. But in this video we're going to be tearing it down, and we're going to take a look at cylinder number 4 and see how bad everything is in there. So here's the motor. It's an RB20 DET. What sucks is we broke a stud pulling the exhaust manifold off, and then we had four others actually, that just unthreaded. I was planning on just doing all new studs anyway, so that's not really a big deal. It just sucks that we're gonna have to drill that one out. Not looking forward to that. But the motor's pretty much torn down. What we're going to be doing is taking the oil pump off, take the head off, and we're going to be taking the crank and the pistons and everything out and just have that set aside. So we just have the bare block and the head. This actually has RB26 cams in it because the machine shop I originally took my spare head to had a mishap and they damaged the stock cams, so they gave me these cams for free. I don't know when or if I'm even going to use these cams, but in the meantime I just have them in the motor right now. The only difference between these and the stock RB20 cams is there's an extra millimeter of lift, so I would need to get it tuned if I want to run these. So I didn't really want to throw these on and have to get it tuned just so it would run correctly. I also have a 240 with an RB20 that's basically full bolt-on, stock motor still, but full bolt-ons on E85, and I want to put cams on that eventually. Kind of want more aggressive cams than these just because there isn't going to be that huge of a difference with these. So I don't know, I might just keep these cams, I might sell them, I don't know yet. But I want to start with pulling the head off, so let's get to it. So we got the head off, it's over there, we'll take a look in a second. But there is a bunch of oil between cylinders 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, which is interesting. On number 3, look at that marking on it. Like something was going on there. There's a little bit in the middle on number 4. But cylinder number 4 is the one that on the leak down test we were losing cylinder pressure in. And you could hear it coming out of the dipstick and the oil cap once we took the oil cap off. So the rings on cylinder 4 definitely bad, but it looks like we might have had some head gasket issues as well because that's a lot of oil. But let's take a look at the head. So here's the head, same issue. It is dripping a little bit more because of the way the head is. Bunch of oil there, bunch of oil there. It looks like the head gasket is mainly on the block, and I didn't see any cracks in it, so it seems like our head gasket might have been okay, at least around the cylinders, but we do have oil all over the gasket. And also, if you look at my exhaust valves, they look like they were pretty lean. And let me show you guys the turbo that came off this motor. So this is the turbo that came off this motor that came with the car, and if you notice, look how like white that is. This thing was running lean. The turbo hardly spins at all, which is why I didn't throw it back on. But yeah, this turbo is just blown. It would need to be rebuilt, and stock RB20 turbo isn't really worth rebuilding in my opinion. So I just got a big paperweight. So I just found this piece of metal right here on cylinder number 4. This might be part of the piston ring, but that definitely should not have been there. I don't notice anything on the other ones, so it's really interesting. Oh, and if you look right there, that's another piece in the same cylinder. So there's one piece and then the other little piece. So we got the motor turned over, and I'm going to start with cylinder 4 just because I know that was the bad cylinder. We're going to unbolt the rod and then drop it down and check out the piston. Okay, bad news bears. Here's the piston. It looks terrible for one. You'll notice the incredible gap there. You can see right where the ring gap is, it's chipped. So this piston is destroyed. The rod looks like it's fine. I'm debating on what I want to do with this motor, but I definitely at least need a new piston. But it's interesting, the cylinder wall feels pretty smooth. I mean, obviously this block's gonna get machined and gone through. I just found it a little bit interesting that the cylinder walls are actually still pretty smooth. But anyways, let's take out the other 5. So we have them all out, and I have mainly bad news. Cylinder 4 was not the only piston that had damage. Every single piston has really bad damage on the top. Like, look at number 6. There's some all along here. Number 5 has it. Number 3, 2, 1, they all got it. So I have 6 melted pistons. So that's awesome. I literally cannot reuse any pistons, which I wouldn't really want to in the condition they're in anyways, even if they weren't all melted. So now that we have the pistons out, I just got them in bags. Now we can take the oil pump off and then work our way to get the crank out. So we got the oil pump off, and as expected, because this is a totally stock motor, we still have the short collar on the crank for the oil pump. I don't understand why Nissan did this, but you can get extended collars, which is what we're going to do, because this barely grabs onto the oil pump, so it could cause some problems in the future. And that's not good, it could damage the oil pump. That's one of the oiling issues that RBs have from the factory. So we're going to get the crank polished, and once we do that, we're going to have the machine shop also put the extended collar on. So we got the crank out, so it's just the bare block, basically. Got the crank sitting over here, got the main cap slash girdle thing sitting there. What I want to do with the rebuild is get ARP studs for the main caps. So it would be going right here. These would be ARP studs, so I wouldn't be reusing those bolts in there. Until then, I'm going to leave the bolts in there just because I don't know if there's a particular order. This one and these 2 back here seem like they're longer than the rest, but I'm just going to leave them like that for now. If you look here, this is the only bearing that seems to have some like wear on it. The rest all look pretty smooth. This one's got some wear on it too, but it's still smooth. Like, they're all smooth. There's no like scoring or anything. There's no little metal anywhere. But the back sides are totally smooth. Right in here where the bearing was is all totally smooth. The journals on the crank all feel really smooth all the way around. So the crank's probably fine. We're going to take it to a machine shop, get it polished, put the extended collar on, and that should be good. So that's good news. It seems like the only thing that failed was the pistons. Still on the fence on what direction I want to go with the rebuild. Obviously, forged would be awesome, which seems like the most likely option for me, because if I don't rebuild this motor, it's probably just going to sit and nothing will ever get done to it. And then if my 240 or my R32 motors go, then I'm kind of shit out of luck. I don't have a spare motor. So I almost want to rebuild this, fully forged everything, just go all out on this motor. Throw it into the 240, because the 240 has a stock RB20, but we got full bolt-ons and everything, making over 400 horsepower. So who knows how long that's going to last. So if I can throw a forged RB20 in there, then we'll be solid. Another option is to go RB25. I'd have to find one first. It would be more expensive in the long run. However, I would make more power. But the thing is, with my 240, I don't need more power. The Skyline, I would like more power for sure. But then we're going to fully forge this motor and then throw it in the 240 and then have the 240 motor as the spare. Just fingers crossed that I don't blow it before then. And when the time comes for the Skyline to need more power, if I could get my hands on an RB30 with an RB25 head, I would love to do that. The forged bottom end for the RB30 is going to cost roughly the same as forged RB20. Of course, there are other things involved in the RB30 swap that would make it more expensive, but just bottom end to bottom end, the forging kit, they're roughly the same price. But an RB30 would be so sick in my Skyline. But like I said, we'll see what happens. If we do end up building the block, we're obviously going to build the head. We're going to get bigger cams. We're going to do all the valves and everything. I want to do it the right way. There's not a lot of RB20 content on YouTube, let alone fully forged RB20 with a built head, bigger cams and everything. There's videos on stuff like that, just not so much the build process to get to that point. Everyone likes the end result, but I'm more interested in the process it took to get there. So this is how the motor's going to sit for now. I'm going to buy all the parts that I need to get all the machining done. I want to get that out of the way. So I got to figure out what size bearings and everything. I think I'm going to go standard. I'll have the machine shop look at it and make sure that we don't need to go a size bigger with the bearings. But that's where we're going to end the video for today. Well, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys haven't seen the playlist where we did the 2-week motor swap on the R32, definitely go check that out. I'll have that up in the corner. That was the most stressful 2 weeks of my life. But stay tuned for the rebuild on the old R32 motor, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.